Your microphone. Oh, sorry.
Alrighty. We call to order the Plan Commission meeting of this Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Mr. Eddy, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Olson is absent. Commissioner Hogan? Commissioner Burkhart? Commissioner Haley?
Here.
City Engineer Morrow?
Here.
Alderwoman Hanneman?
Present.
Commissioner Leone?
Here.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will begin with agenda item B1, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 7th, 2021. Are there any corrections or changes?
Move to pass.
There is a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 4 ayes, 5 ayes, no noes. Motion carries. We'll move on to C on our agenda, which is our public hearings. We have 3 public hearings this evening. The first one is for the Payne and Dolan Quarry Reclamation Plan. Mr. Eddy, would you please, or you're reading the,
Oh, no, it's all right.
I got it.
read our notice.
Very good. City of Franklin Plan Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 21, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Common Council Chambers at the Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin 53132, to take public comments regarding a proposal by Payne and Dolan Incorporated for approval of a non-metallic mining reclamation plan and issuance of a non-metallic mining reclamation permit for the Franklin Aggregates Quarry site. The purpose of the reclamation plan is to describe the activities necessary to reclaim the Franklin Aggregates Quarry site to a condition whereby future development is feasible after completion of mineral extraction activities. Final reclamation will consist of reclaiming the quarry perimeter upon completion of the mining extraction activities. Approximately 75 acres will need to be reclaimed, and the remaining 250 acres will become a lake. The proposed land use to which this site will be reclaimed is green or open space. Reclamation of the site will include the 250-acre lake with restored slopes and rock faces surrounding the lake. Cited the proposed reclamation plan is upon property zoned Plan Development District Number 23 and Plan Development District Number 24. 5335 West Rawson Avenue, Franklin, Wisconsin 53132, located within the approximate boundaries of West Rawson Avenue on the north, West Drexel Avenue on the south, South 51st Street on the east, and South 68th Street on the west. This hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements and standards of City of Franklin Unified Development Ordinance, Section 15-3.0428, PDD number 23, subsection S, and Section 15-3.0429, PDD 24, subsection T, and Section 176-15 of the City of Franklin Municipal Code, as well as Wisconsin Statute Section 295.12, parens 3. A map showing the property affected, full legal description, the application, and all supporting materials are available for review and may be obtained from the city clerk by way of request to the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin 53132 during normal business hours. The public is invited to attend the public hearing to provide input.
Thank you. We are now open for the public hearing. Before we invite members of the public to come speak, I'd like to invite Mr. Clint Weninger, who is the Land Resources Manager. Would you like to come forward and do the presentation for those here who are here for the public hearing?
Am I on, Rego? Yep. Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time and appreciate the ability to be here tonight. I think staff did a good job in their summary that they put out, basically summarizing what the reclamation plan is, but I put together just some additional pictures and just want to walk through it, so hopefully it's not redundant for you. I know there's some new faces that I haven't seen in the past here, so I'll try to answer all the questions, but please, if you have any, don't hesitate to ask as we go through. So, did I go the right way? Okay, so a little bit of background just with the quarry property itself. There's 2 separate PDDs, number 24 and number 23. The reason for that was when those were enacted, there was 2 separate companies operating the site. Back in 2013, we acquired the PDD number 24 property from Vulcan Materials, and we're operating it basically as one operation now, but we still maintain both PDDs and the requirements. What the city did really well when those were put together is those mirror each other almost identically, so it's really easy to enforce and operate under those. We have approximately 534 total acres that Painted Olin owns. That's outlined in blue here. Of that, about 325 acres are in the PDD limits. That leaves the other 210 acres outside of that area as buffer property surrounding the site. The reclamation plan is really meant to just describe the conditions where we can put it back to future development. Right now, there's berms surrounding the property. The slopes going down to the top of the rock are not set for future development. So that's why we use that green space as a final development, because this reclamation is going to take place quite a ways into the future. And at that time, we don't know what the needs of the community are going to be, whether from the development side or from what the community is going to want to see. So this leaves the most flexibility in place for the community to decide at that time what's really going to fit the community then. So that's why there's no end use, and we refer to that as a temporary use. Some of the existing conditions, this is all maps that were included in the reclamation plan, just showing the 2-foot contours of the site. A couple things to note are and it's a little hard to see, the PDD limits are in pink on here, but the extraction limits are also on here, shown as a red dash line. Those setbacks are listed in the PDD limits, and I think it's approximately, it says 650 off of 51st Street, 850 off of Drexel, and like 200 feet off of Rawson, I believe, are what those limits are. But those are all shown there. And then the existing berm. So those are the conditions as they are today. In the end, the site will be approximately 250-acre lake. All that dark green that you saw on the last page, that's all a lot of the overburden that's been put there, and serves as not only temporary dirt storage, but also provides a nice buffer between our operations and the neighbors. Well, all of that gets pushed back into the bottom of the quarry. So the quarry itself is going to be approximately 250 feet deep, and that dirt will be put on the bottom of that quarry at that time. That'll leave nice areas of basically flat land surrounding the lake with slopes then that go down to the water body. Reclamation has to take place per ordinance within 3 years of the extraction being done. And then it also accounts for, we've got to remove all the buildings and infrastructure, but then make sure that we take care of any of the revegetation and slope stabilization that takes place. So. Too many. No. So interesting part of the quarry that'll be in the final reclamation is the water table itself is approximately the level of the river right now. And on the south end of the property, the rock is about 40 feet below the existing surface, which means it's actually below the water table level. So you're going to have, in the area that's outlined in blue, that's going to be a nice reclaimed slope going down into the water, where you actually be able to walk down the slope and walk into the water. The red face, as you see it, is actually a rock face that's going to extend above the elevation of the water, approximately 5 feet or so, depending on the water level, throughout that area in red. And part of that is because the rock is higher up on that far northwest corner. That's where the quarries were started many years ago, because there was very little overburden in that area. So that rock face is about 35% of the slope around the quarry, and the slope into the water is about 65%. Here's just a cross section showing those two areas. So imagine the area in red would be the cross section on the left, and you can see where there's more of a steep angle going down into the water table, where the slope on the right is the actual blue area where it slopes into the water. We get a gentle slope going down into the water, and then goes down a ways and goes down. Their reclamation plan does account for public access. Probably should back up here. I don't know. And that would be up on the far north end of the property off of Rawson Avenue. So up on the very top northwest corner, there'll be an area for public access. And we'll make that available to the city. The city can either take it at that time or not. That's a decision of the city, but it will be made available. If the city does take advantage of that public access, that then turns the body of water into a public water body, where if they don't, it keeps it private. So we've had some communities go either way on that, but we've left it, we're fulfilling the requirements of the PDD by offering it and making it available. Then it's up to the city at that point in time whether they want to take advantage of that. So as part of that public access, though, we would have a ramp going down into the water, where if you want to use it as a boat ramp or something like that, that'll facilitate. That'll also be there to access that northern part for safety reasons where those rock faces are. There'll actually be two accesses. One will be the boat ramp up on the north side along Rawson Avenue. The other would be along the existing quarry ramp that we have along the river on the far west side of the quarry. The quarry, once it's done, it fills up with water from the accumulation of groundwater and rainwater, and we expect that it's going to take approximately 10 years for it to completely fill to the top. This is just a cross-section of, we have an existing road that goes along the Root River. So we're looking straight south, about where our ramp goes down in the quarry. So if anybody's been in the quarry, if you go to the left here, you're going down in. This road goes around. The fence there is our property line along the Root River. And the Root River is not too far to the right of where it says berm there. So this was just shown to see how the reclaimed slope would be cut in there through the existing. But then also to show that the grading limits we have, we won't be going outside of that road into the river area to disturb any of those trees. And then just conceptual reclamation plan, all the area in green then will be available for future development at that time, or non-development, depends on what really fits the community. And I briefly talked about the public access. This is up along the north side along Rawson Avenue. And it'll include some green space and a ramp for public access going down into the quarry in this area. We also have to provide a temporary easement down to the water body. So as the quarry is filling with water for some reason, if the city wants access to that, we have to provide easement. That'll be right along the existing ramp that's there now. So. Then I'd just like to finish up by showing you a few examples of reclamation that we've done at different sites. This is actually right on the Franklin site. Back when before the PDDs were approved, the area that you see on the 2000 photo, that's actually west of the river. And that was a former painted and processing yard. All the rock was hauled up after it was shot up there and processed and stockpiled and sold from that area. As part of the PDDs, we were allowed to expand on the east side of the river, but we also had to give up this area. We could have mined this area, but we had to give this area up, but then also reclaim it and move all those operations down into the floor of the quarry. Then that picture that you see on 2005, you can see how that area is completely reclaimed. So now the trail goes through the east side of that area, and I bet you a lot of people don't even know that all those type of operations were occurring there at the time. And we used to have two crossings there that would flood out every spring. They were just basically culverts that were there that were real low and that would flood out. We'd have to actually go out to the west to access the quarry for a couple weeks in the spring every year. This is a gravel pit out in Prager. It's called our Prager gravel pit out in far western Racine County. We just actually got done reclaiming this late this spring. And we see here, it's a little different. It's sand and gravel. We didn't have to blast, not as deep, but you can see we put this area back to farm ground with a couple ponds in there as well. This is a site out in Madison, just showing some side slope restoration that takes place going down to water bodies. This was just done last fall. This is another pond that we put in out by Madison. And here's a subdivision project that we put in the village of Big Bend, right on the far west side of Muskego. We actually conveyed a bunch of material to existing gravel pit that we have that's just off the picture here. But as part of that, we reclaimed the project back to a single-family residential, and that's now has 42 home sites in it. And this lake was actually one that the village decided to keep private because they had enough public land. So no shoreland zoning or none of that stuff applies if it's a private. And that's all I had for you, but I'm here to answer any additional questions that you may have, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Weninger. At this time, anyone who would wish to come up to the microphone and speak on this issue, I invite you to do so now. And when you come to the microphone, please speak into the microphone and give us your name and address for the record, please. So the public hearing is open. Jan?
Hello. My name is Mike Grishar. I've lived in Franklin for about, since 1979. So my wife and I built a home there. It was adjacent to quarry
I'm
property.
sorry, your address, sir?
6670 West Robinwood Lane.
Thank you.
The quarry has been a good neighbor. And I can see from some of the plans you have here, it makes me excited that this is going to be an area that the public can use on a 24/7 basis if you wanted to have that. I guess my big concern is, first of all, how long are the reclamation of materials going to be taking place? We were told about 30 years when we signed an agreement in regards to the quarry operations adversely affecting our property value. And I signed it because I thought it made good sense. It kept me out of court if I did have something to disagree with, and it put us through a prescribed process so we wouldn't have any type of legal hassles. So far, they've abided by their part of the bargain. They even built a park next to our house. But at that time, they said they had about 30 years to reclaim mineral extraction. How long do you suppose this will go? I guess I should be asking this gentleman here.
You may answer. You may answer.
Okay. Okay. Second thing is, I'm concerned about the level of Root River in relationship to what this lake will be. Now, if this is 50 years down the road, a lot of things can change in 50 years. Are they, according to this plan, is the lake level going to be the same level as the Root River, or will it be lower?
It's going to be very cold.
Okay.
One comment. So one of the conditions that staff is recommending is to prepare a groundwater study 5 years or less prior to the end of the operations.
Mhm.
So that is being addressed.
Okay. And finally, my concern is we've had a lot of building in the area, and people are looking at tax dollars naturally to improve the community and so forth. I guess when I moved into the area, I knew there were two-family homes down the road from us, and we were one of the few single-family homes that were built there. And a friend of mine that turned me on to buying there said, well, who would leave a $125,000 house to go to waste? Well, now I'm realizing that quite a few people would. So my concern is, I've seen a lot of things in this area, particularly Oak Creek, and now we have the Rock. And buildings look beautiful, but they're multifamily, street-level shops. And if you live there, I suppose it's nice to walk to get to a shop. But I guess I don't want to see a whole bunch of strip malls on a lake or, something with loud music. I want something that would be able to improve the property value of the community. And has anybody looked into this as far as having it for like some type of rental activity where people could rent a portion of it and have activities where they could actually put tax dollars into the community, but it wouldn't be some type of blaring music 24/7, and where people could actually look at it as a kind of like a jewel of Franklin.
According to the plan development district, the reclamation plan does not need to address the final land use.
Okay,
So the land use that Glenn showed us, green open space, that will be like a temporary use until the final zoning approvals will be met for the final land use.
okay.
So,
This is what I received in the mail, and it has a lot of black squares. And I'm just wondering, what exactly do they all mean? And is it those two areas that you defined on the screen? Is that
the black lines are the property lines.
property lines? Okay. So when it's all said and done, there will be this lake, but there are other properties that they may have development on. There you are. So I live down in the lower left-hand corner there. So my concern is this going to be slated instead of park area? Is it going to be slated for more single-family homes, or you don't know? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing on this agenda item, and I will open for the commissioners for questions or discussion. None? Oh, clarification. Yes, city engineer.
So I heard 50 years, so we're really talking something in 2070 when this would actually potentially be done something with. So folks in 2065 would decide what they like in 2065.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? 'Cause, and I'm never going to commit to an exact number because
Sure.
it's so market driven, and which a lot of it's out of our control, but it's going to be in excess of 50 years, Glenn. So
It's hard to tell what planning's going to be looking like in 45 years, yeah.
right, yeah, exactly. The nice thing about the way this is set up is that there is no further development that can come and happen on the property without city input and city approval, and going through the whole review, land use, zoning, engineering process before that takes place, outside of just basically what we're giving you as a grading plan to put it back to something that's going to be more usable, more attractive for the community. Then we can decide from there what the actual end use is going to be.
And Christine Rathke Park is on your land, correct?
That's the one in the southwest corner of 60.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Is it possible we could do further parkland?
I
Yeah.
always like that idea.
We do have a need for large, active parkland in the middle of the city in this nice location for some options.
We're always willing to entertain and have discussions, but I can't guarantee anything. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when we worked with putting Oak Leaf Trail through there too. And that made a lot of sense to help.
Okay.
Great, thank
But
you.
we're always open for those type of discussions.
Right.
Anyone else? I'd
Thank
be
you.
happy to entertain a motion on the item.
Oh,
Oh,
hold
I'm
on.
sorry.
Yeah, I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to make clear that the draft ordinance that you have now, that includes some input from the operator. So basically, it's to remove the word independent. So that will allow engineers and geologists from Penandola to do the studies. That's the correction.
Okay. Is the commission all good with that? Okay.
I trust that City
Yes,
Engineer
Engineer.
Morrow and Alderwoman Hammer will be here in 2065 to ensure we get the parkland
You
on
bet.
this board.
I sure hope not.
If I may then, make a motion to recommend approval of an ordinance to approve a quarry non-metallic mining reclamation plan and to incorporate same into Unified Development Ordinance Section 15-3.0428, Ordinance number 97-1456, PDD number 23 pursuant to paragraph 13.26S.5 and Unified Development Ordinance 15-3.0429, Ordinance number 97-1457, PDD number 24, pursuant to paragraph 13.27T.5, and to authorize the issuance of a reclamation permit in relation thereto.
And is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I would like to mention, subject to technical correction, as
That's what I
discussed
was-
by Jesse, to change the order of the conditions.
I'll second that also.
Okay. And that motion does include the staff recommendations that were in
In the report,
the
yes.
report to us.
Yep.
Wonderful. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. That's 5 ayes, no noes. Thank you. We will move along to item C2, which is also a public hearing. And Mr. Eddy, would you read the notice for us, please?
City of Franklin Plan Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 21, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Common Council Chambers at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin 53132, to take public comments regarding a proposal by David J. Church, Rawson Ventures LLC, to rezone 3 parcels of land and an outlot along West Rawson Avenue, which are currently occupied by 2 residences and various outbuildings and on-farm land, approximately 4.5 acres in area, from R6 Suburban Single Family Residence District and B3 Community Business District to B2 General Business District. These properties are located at 7401, 7295, and 7255 West Rawson Avenue in the upper portion, approximately 18,000 square feet of 7401A West Rawson Avenue, tax key numbers 756-993-013, 756-999-3019, 756-999-3018, and 756-999-3005. This hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 62.23, Parens 7, Parens D, Part 2 of the Wisconsin Statutes and Division 15-9.0200 of the City of Franklin Unified Development Ordinance. A map showing the property affected, full legal description, the application, and all supporting materials are available for review and may be obtained from the city clerk by way of request to the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin 53132 during normal business hours. A copy of the proposed ordinance in draft form is available from the city clerk at Franklin City Hall, address as previously noted. The public is invited to attend the public hearing to provide input. The proposed amendment is subject to revisions. Following public hearing and the further consideration of the Plan Commission and City of Franklin Common Council.
Thank you. And before I open the public hearing, I'll invite our applicant to come forward. If you'd like to make a presentation or say a few words, you're welcome to do so. And please introduce yourself and your address as you begin.
Good evening, everyone. David Church, can you hear me okay? David Church, 7220 West Rawson Avenue. That address happens to be the Root River Center, which is a business that I own and operate directly across from the proposed site that I'm working on. I've been working with the owners of the property for a number of months, and I should say I'm just excited about the overall momentum that 76th and Rawson corridor is experiencing, and with the success that we've been having at Root River Center has led me to be motivated to make a further investment into the community. And I've been working on the site, which my firm belief is that this is a strong commercial corridor with a retail focus. And the B2 zoning that I'm asking for the rezone on, I think will allow for the highest and best use of the types of businesses that have expressed sincere demand to me to locate on this property. So if you're looking at the map, the part of the property that I'm looking to rezone today is the frontage along Rawson, which is approximately 4 acres. And my plan is conceptual at this point, but it does have some traction to it. So I think, again, this plan has been well thought out over months and months and months of time through many iterations of design and, parking ratios. And we've been communicating with planning department to get the most, I guess, beneficial plan that we think would accommodate what the city would want to see, providing for the right amount of parking, the right amount of landscaping, architectural design, certainly to be discussed. But the plan has been well thought out, and there is a demand from the national business community to have some of their businesses locate on the property. And the remaining, there's another 1.4 acres to the south of this property that is what we call a remnant piece. And that's not anything that I'm looking to consider today. But the 4 acres along Rawson Avenue, I think is ready for development. There's demand, and I'm here to discuss the project with you.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter, please come forward. Good evening, and please give us your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm Charles Anderson, 7215 West Rawson. I'm own the dentist office at that site, and I've gone over the plans and spoke with Mr. Church at length about this, and I'm in favor of this project, and I think it would be good for the city. I think it would be good for the area directly next to me, obviously, and just wanted to go on the record by saying that I am in favor of it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward and speak on this item? Okay, with that, then I will close the public hearing, and I will open for discussion among the plan commissioners. Yes, Commissioner Leon.
I just want to point out that members of the commission did get a written public comment from a resident in regards to this agenda item. It is in your packets if you haven't already had the opportunity to review it. But with that said, I think it's a good plan. I thank the applicant for coming in tonight to go into this level of detail and for being willing to continue to expand your business opportunities here in Franklin. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. City Engineer.
So I do want to appreciate when this was shown to Common Council as a concept plan, or maybe it was the Plan Commission. We talked about council. It was talked about how entering in off of Rawson, it looked like you were entering a parking lot, and I know staff has worked with your development team a lot, and it looks more like a road. If Mr. Martinez, if you could show that sketch, I do think it's worthy, because the last time the public's really looked at it, it looked like a parking lot. Now it's going to it'll still be a private street, but it will look, taste, and feel like a street. So that's a good move. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Haley.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments or questions. I think it works, and I like the changes and everything you made to it. I'm a little bit concerned about what's happening to the south, and you don't know, or you can't tell us yet, but in terms of access to that facility, I mean, it would appear with what you've got that they need to come in from the west, from the other development, and you've got the driveway turnarounds on the south edge, but they don't seem to go to the property line. Got a remnant parcel. I assume the only way to get to that is bottom left, where the left basin is, the arrow going through it. there or to the
Are you
right? How else does somebody get to the parcel to the south?
Are you referring to the parcel that I'll own or the larger tract?
Talking about these, those look like those are future driveways or access points, and they don't extend out to the property line. So if someone were to use this to gain access to that site, they'd require an easement or something there. I was wondering how we're dealing with that. I mean, at some point, somebody's going to come in here and want to do something with this.
Yes.
And it's not your responsibility to provide all that access, but given the site plan and the circulation you have, I'm guessing that's what these are for, future driveways. And the logic would show that those actually go up to the property line then. Because if somebody were to develop or use that, they're going to have to come back in and pave that section.
Right.
My read on it. So it's not addressed because this is the site plan. So one suggestion would be to just extend those lines out to the property boundaries. And then they're there, they're in, they're built. The other one that concerns me is here, it doesn't appear as if we have cross-access easement in place. And I can understand that there's some concerns right here, but this is a dead-end street. Should be projecting on out to here with an access easement from McDonald's that then allows both of these entries off Rawson to function. Right now, there's one way in, one way out, and a dead end here. And
Right.
it's always been our preference that we have cross-access easements between adjacent properties. So something needs to happen right there.
Yeah, to date, McDonald's has not been receptive to providing that cross-access. And without having further discussion with the engineers and the traffic, I did perform a traffic study, just so it's noted, I think it's in the materials. But I'm not sure that if it's even feasible, the way McDonald's building is positioned and how with the traffic flow of where you actually pick up your Big Macs, that the cross-access is really even feasible. So I think that's a challenge for the site, or for my site, if McDonald's were even receptive to the idea.
Well, it's something that the city has preferred. And if we're convinced it's not going to happen, then I guess the dead-end street there shouldn't be there. It should just be a turn, a radius. These are nuanced things, but
Sure.
they make a big difference down the line, and this is the only whack we get at this.
Okay.
So I don't know how we can address those. It's on the site plan.
But this isn't a site plan, this is just for the rezoning, but the site plan
So
will
you'll
come
be
back
coming
to
back
us
to us
future.
with the site plan for approval. That would be a
Yes.
great time to try and address these issues I
Sure.
pointed out to you. And theoretically, I can understand why McDonald's wouldn't be happy about it, but in the interest of traffic flow, they don't want backed up traffic either. I think it might be worth approaching them on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? I would just like the opportunity to point out, and while Commissioner Haley has some great nuanced points, I'm looking more at the big picture of this general area. I'm concerned for the access to what we're calling the orphan property to the south, and how that ultimately might fit in if our B3 district should ever be redeveloped. And what does that look like? And the R6 over there, how does that all ultimately fit together in a solid development proposal that really is what is the heart and downtown of our city right now? I'm certainly not opposed to any of the options, not knowing the brand names, of course, but what's being proposed. And it looks like you're trying really hard to work through some of those parking issues. But, what are your thoughts on the big picture there?
Are you referring to the shopping center?
Mhm.
I think independent of how the whole, I'll call it, I've been, pretty versed on the whole intersection there and the shopping center site, the land that Mr. John O'Malley owns behind that. Certainly understand how this can all tie together. I think pretty strongly, independent of how what the future of those properties are, how they're developed or redeveloped, that the street frontage is retail-driven land. Those are the businesses that want to locate there. That's where the demand is. So as you look for the properties that I'm proposing to develop and some of the freestanding retail restaurant buildings that are likely to be there if things go well, no matter how the interior land is developed, I think the street frontage, this is the highest and best use long-term. And not only are these service retail types of businesses are what I'm likely to propose or likely to be proposed in the future. The good news is that they're very prominent national tenants that have a high likelihood of having an enduring existence here in the community. So that's my position as I continue to evaluate the big picture and have conversations with people in the city, that the street frontage, whether it's along 76th Street or Rawson, that the retail use is the highest and best use. But I'm open to working on a bigger picture with the city.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Is there a motion on this matter?
I make a motion to recommend approval of an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Ordinance zoning map to rezone certain parcels of land from R6 Suburban Single Family Residence District and B3 Community District to B2 General Business District, located at 7401 West Rawson Avenue, 7295 West Rawson Avenue, 7255 West Rawson Avenue, and the upper portion, approximately 18,000 square feet, of 7401A West Rawson Avenue, 4.50386 acres.
We have a motion. Is there a second? A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? We have 5 ayes, no noes, and the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, we will move along to item C3, which is a public hearing that is being carried over from our previous Plan Commission meeting on October 7th. So, Mr. Eddy, does the notice need to be restated for this meeting? No, thank you. So I would like to invite the applicants forward. It's my understanding that there are some changes that have been submitted in this plan. And so if you would kindly go over those with us, and
Certainly.
then we can open up to the public hearing again. Or, yes, give us the changes, please, and then we'll open up for public comment.
Sure. SR Mills, 4011 80th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I appreciate the time. Again, this evening, we were here 2 weeks ago and briefly discussed the plan, but really what we focused on a couple of weeks ago is with the city's desire to utilize some of the parkland that's designated park. We've subsequently changed our application, where the original application, as you see on the screen, it's 92 acres. Essentially, what we've done is dropped the balance of it. We have the 40 acres there that would be, we look to work with the city to have that turn into a park and utilize the 35 acres we see there to the top of the screen as residential, essentially really shrinking the overall size significantly of the subdivision.
All right, thank you. Then I will reopen the public hearing, so anyone who wishes to come forward and speak on this matter, come forward at this time. One gentleman. And please give us your name and address.
Mike Shago, 10250 West Ryan Road, Franklin. I'm curious as to why the change was made. I guess that's my first question.
No, and I'd be very happy to address that. That particular parcel directly adjacent to the Franklin Savannah there, where you see the 40 acres, that has long been on the city's comprehensive or master plan as conservancy and parkland. And so I think that the developer realized as he was going forward with these plans that maybe the city would want to exercise an option to hang on to that in perpetuity.
Okay, so that would stay as a, the zoning would stay the same then on that 40 acres, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, and one of my concerns is I live right around the corner on West Ryan Road from that, is the city's approach to a plan of how the infrastructure concerns and needs would change in that neighborhood. Because I believe right across the street on 112th Street is an 85 home subdivision being built. And how many homes is going to be designed for the new 35 acre site?
We believe about 50.
About 50. So that still brings us to 125, 135 homes in an area that I would really like to see an infrastructure plan on how that's going to be impacted, because that's all agricultural, has been since the beginning of Franklin. And whenever there's a number of large acreages that are changed zoning-wise, I think it should always be a concern of the city. How are we going to support that with this new situation out there? So I just wanted to voice my concern about that, and I'm glad to see that it's down to 50, but I still am a little concerned about traffic concerns, fire and police protection, snow plowing, and I believe Ryan Road is the responsibility of the county. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I'd like to hear the county's response to that too, because this is going to create a lot of traffic on a roadway that they're responsible for. So I would like to hear something from the county in regard to that too as we move forward. Okay?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, please give us your name and address.
Yes, my name is Debbie Davis. I'm at 9460 South 96th Street, just south of Ryan Road. And clearly, I think this plan is better than the previous. However, it looks like it's still taking some land out of conservancy, still taking some land out of agriculture. And I would like to see us comply with our comprehensive plan. There must be other areas in Franklin that can be developed for residential. I'm also concerned about the infrastructure. I read the report from the development staff from the previous proposal, and I'd be curious as what they say about this proposal. I know that there are a lot of concerns about infrastructure, and that the tax revenue from these properties wouldn't cover the infrastructure costs. So, and they also said that it was incongruent with a comprehensive plan. So I'd like to see conservancy land stay conservancy land. I'd like to see agricultural land stay agricultural land. I'd like us to comply with our comprehensive plan. So I'm opposed to this development. I'm not opposed to development in general. I know that there's a housing shortage. I want other people in Franklin to have the same amenities I've experienced, my family's experienced on and off for the 58 years we've lived here. But I don't think this is the right location. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir? Yes, please come forward. Give us your name and address, please, for the record.
Dennis Beal, 9053 South Cordgrass Circle West. I'm not well versed on this, but I do know it's close to proposed new slaughterhouse. With all the questions with that slaughterhouse, I'm wondering, I won't live there, but what about all those people that will? There's concern about pollution, property value, and noise, and smell, and it's still, there's a lawyer, I don't know much about him, I know they're fighting it right now, but that would be right across the street, wouldn't it, from the proposed slaughterhouse? And the property value, it would concern me, and then of course the health issues that are, maybe there isn't, but right now there's some concern about it. So that's it. I don't know a whole lot about it. I just found out about this tonight. My wife was on, I don't know, the internet or something, and saw this meeting was so. But I'm opposed to it too. I don't live that close, but there is a lot of questions about that slaughterhouse, and now you got more houses that are going to be right across the street from it. So that's my concern. But like I say, I'm not well versed on it,
but I just thought it's something to consider. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one come forward, I will close the public hearing at this point, and our Regula, would you like to speak? Please?
Yes, some additional comments. So, as you know, staff recommended denial of the original application. So now with the scenario number 2, I would like to mention that there are some areas, I mean, that 35-acre has the recreational designation in the comprehensive plan. So that will be lost to or changed to residential. But I would like to mention that the CORP, the Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan, recommends the Southwest Park for this area, and the area that the lot area that the plan suggests for that park is about 40 acres. Should be at least 40 acres. So that property that this one, the Ignacia property, that will remain and recreational has the 40 acres. So even if some recreational designation will be lost, it's still within the CORP recommendations. I would like to mention also the parkland acquisition study that was prepared recommends acquisition of parkland in the southwest area. So that's in line with that study. In regards to the citizen comments, for example, the traffic impact analysis that will be required at the time of the subdivision plat. And with regards to the Strauss project, so the Strauss project is located here. So this is the site, and we already have residential lots here. So it's away from that Strauss project, if that is a concern. Well, and happy to answer any question that you may have.
Yes, Mr. Haley.
Thank you. I'm very familiar with this property and the parcels around it and the big picture. In fact, I was part of the plan amendments when we looked at what should be in the recommendation that this be residential, playing off of the Franklin Savannah, which is a very unique natural area with no plans for any active development. So the idea being you've got a passive area of great nature and you could come in next door and do the more active components as a city park. So that was the picture. I've reviewed all the materials. I think staff did a great job of reviewing this, and I will also share that we got a letter from a Jeremy Stimpson on this. I think it's extremely well written. I thought the hearing was closed.
And wasn't testified at. Okay.
Oh,
You've just.
I don't believe
I'm not grasping.
we don't take written testimony for the public hearing.
I wasn't going to read it.
Okay.
What I was going to say was that it's very comprehensive, and this person understands the concerns that I have, and I believe staff have. I can't support this project in any way. I was very concerned with the larger piece of it. I have no problem with residential development in the area. That's the plan, what we've always anticipated, but the idea was to have the natural resource and the park component. Even in this revised solution where the additional piece could somehow come to the city if that becomes reality, it does not allow for the connectivity with the park and the street and the other things. If you looked at the bigger blob on the picture before, it's showing the intent was always to expand on the green space, get some recreation in there, but work on a recreational trail corridor along Ryan Creek where the darker areas are. My concern with this is that they're making a reasonable request, but it's inconsistent with the adopted plans. And reducing that piece or the size of the project doesn't solve those problems. If we want to approve a plan like this, the city should take it upon itself to revisit the comprehensive plan, the park and open space plan, and see what does fit in here. I don't have an objection to the development per se. It's what it does. It eliminates any alternatives that the city has in the future. Once we approve it, that starts, chances are the others come back. Even if the city was to acquire that 35-acre piece, you don't have connectivity to the street. You don't have direct connection to the park. It's not accomplishing the greater goal. So I feel that we have master plans for a reason. I think staff was great to pick up on that and realize that, gee, it's not consistent with the intent. And the idea would be that we figure out what we want first before approving. It's a very piecemeal approach, especially to just take a smaller piece of it. So I have many questions. I'm going to try and keep it short. In fact, I'd like to make a motion that we deny the comprehensive master plan amendment and rezoning applications. Recommend denial to the council. Yeah.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Motion fails for lack of a second. Yes. Mr. City Engineer?
Okay. So I want to address a lot of comments were made about sewer and water, infrastructure, streets, things. So, I guess I would list them off. You have sewer, Ryan Creek Interceptor. It's a very large interceptor. City invested a lot of money, and it's I say within a bottle rocket shot of your site. So it's very close and very obtainable. So I don't think sewer is going to be an issue. Water main, we do have a 12-inch water main that goes to the corner of 112th and Ryan Road. In addition, we have I believe it's 8-inch or larger that snakes through your new subdivision. So, a combination of those looping, there's adequate water. It's been master plans, and we've actually had discussions on, possibly water down Ryan Roads the rest of the way. So, looping situation, water is good. I mean, your previous development, we brought 12-inch down or 16-inch down, Loomis, and I think at Ryan Road it turns into a 12-inch. So there's adequate water, in the near vicinity, accessible. Transportation, we just went through our budget process. They should be adopting the budget sometime a couple weeks. Yeah, sometime in November. Part of that process, we worked on a capital improvement plan, and that capital improvement plan does consider some major road improvements for 112th Street. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but we threw a lot of money at doing 112th Street someday when we anticipate that subdivisions are going to develop out. So that takes care of the infrastructure, water, sewer, transportation. They're all there or in the possibility of being there in the somewhat near future. As far as just the land use, we have looked at, I get confused where I've seen all these plans. We've been looking at this site for a long time with, basically that whole red that you see there on the screen, the entire, I actually think it's a good use for the area. With Franklin is one of the last lands developed, and with all, at least I can tell you for the infrastructure plans, that's all always been concerned. I appreciate the idea that our court plan needs to be updated. It's so ancient. I think everyone agrees it's super ancient, needs to be looked at in the worst way. It's well overdue for an update. So I'm going to leave well enough alone there. So I do think this is a good use, and I would support. In fact, I was okay with the entire C section being a residential, but so with the parkland, that is a need for the city right now.
And if I might follow up on that a little bit, because I am the council representative to the Parks Commission, and this has been worthy of a lot of discussion as we've been doing the Parkland acquisition study, which I know that you all are aware of. And so I think it's gotten to the point where the city needs to ultimately decide, do we want that parcel or do we not want that parcel? And if we do not want that parcel, because the people selling that parcel, given the current use in the master plan, their only customer is the city, the county, or the state. And so my hope is that through this discussion, that this body might also ultimately recommend referral to the Parks Commission to review this particular parcel for purchase, because it would solve a lot of problems with using our park impact fees and getting us well up to date, so we're not continually under the gun for that. That site would not necessarily have to be developed as a park immediately. That could be land banked for years before it's ultimately improved upon as an active recreation piece. The other point that I'd like to make is, and I'd like to get confirmation from the developer, that should the city purchase that piece of parkland, would we be, as a city, allowed access through the subdivision? So that way we get to the park and there are streets and utilities already there to hook up should we want to build bathrooms or things like that in there. So that sort of, at the end of the day, saves the city a little bit of money in developing that parkland.
Yeah, if you'd like me, like me to address that, yes, certainly we would,
Okay, we should stick to the rezoning of that then. Are there any other, yes, Commissioner Long.
So I want to thank Commissioner Haley for pointing out the written public comments that were provided to the member of this board. It's important that, for the record, it's important that people know that if they're unable to attend in person for whatever their reason, that the members of the boards can still get their comments by contacting staff, and staff can provide them to the member of this commission as well as any others. That said, I did come to a different conclusion. Probably doesn't surprise Kevin very much. I listened closely to city engineer's comments, and I do believe that the revised plan is a good option for use of that area. So at this point, I support it. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Haley?
Thank you. I understand. I'm just going to remind this body, and in particular the council, that taking affirmative action on this precludes all of those options we talked about. You can't change anything. Once they're given the go, that process goes into place and they start building and all that. We will never have another chance to potentially acquire the eastern edge of that or something else. That analysis, those decisions need to be made now. Once we give them the go, it's all off the table. And a referral back to Park Commission would be a great thing. Should have happened a long time ago. We should have been ready for this one. But they will have limited options because now you've got a large development right in the middle of what you're trying to utilize for parkland. It's not the vision. And yes, the plan is dated, but it's still valid. And so but my only point is this is premature. It's cart before the horse because it limits Franklin's options going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the matter?
I would like
Oh,
I would
yes.
like to know that the ordinance and resolutions that are included in the packet are drafted for the original application. So if any motion will be subject to changing the legal description to the 35-acre property.
Mr. City Engineer, could you, or not Mr. City Engineer, Mr. City Attorney, could you assist us through that?
It's the motion subject to changes to provide for the changes to the property subject
Okay.
to the plan or
All right.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, it also,
Yes.
there's two different motions.
There are two different motions. for
One
this.
is a recommendation on the comprehensive plan hearing, and then the other one is a recommendation on the rezoning decision.
Thank you. Both motions.
Okay. Then I make a motion to adopt a resolution recommending the adoption of an ordinance to amend the City of Franklin 2025 Comprehensive Master Plan to change the City of Franklin 2025 future land use map for 3 properties generally located on the east side of South 112th Street, east of the Ryan Meadows subdivision, and west of the Franklin Savannah Natural Area from recreational use and areas of natural resources, features used to residential use pursuant to Wisconsin statute, paragraph 66.1001 for Bravo, subject to changes to provide for changes to rezoning and property.
Changes to property descriptions provided by Department of
Okay. Changes to property descriptions to be provided by Department of City Development.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye. Opposed?
I think you have to do it.
I'm
one
sorry,
by
can
one.
we take a roll call?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hogan? Commissioner Burkhardt?
No.
Commissioner Haley?
No.
Commissioner Morrow? City Engineer Morrow?
Aye.
Alderwoman Hanneman?
I only vote to affect the outcome.
Commissioner Leone?
Aye.
So it's 2-3.
Vote.
if want to affect I or affect
Then I wish to vote aye. It's a tie.
Goes forward with no recommendation.
Pardon?
Yeah.
It goes forward with no
Yes,
recommendation.
it goes forward with no
Planning Commission.
recommendation.
Okay.
The next recommendation.
Thank you. I make a motion to recommend approval of an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Ordinance zoning map to rezone certain parcels of land from A2 Prime Agricultural District, R2 Estate Single Family Residence District, and C1 Conservancy District to R5 Suburban Single Family Residence District, subject to changes to provide for changes to rezoning and property descriptions provided by the Department of City Development.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Hogan?
No.
Commissioner Burkhardt? Commissioner Haley?
No.
City Engineer Morrow?
Aye.
Commissioner Leone?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. So we have no recommendation, but it will move forward.
I just noticed I left off the last description. Do I need to put it on just it generally located? Do I need to include that? Or are we good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda, item D1, Juniper Events LLC Indoor Recraft and Relic Market, a ticketed shopping event at the Milwaukee County Sports Complex. Hello, the applicant is here.
I'm Danica Allen, and I'm one of the owners of Recraft and Relic. We're a small business that exists to support makers and artisans in the Milwaukee County area, as well as in the southeast. And so we're requesting temporary use. Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. Yeah. We're requesting temporary use of the sports complex for the dates listed November 13th and 14th of 2021. January 28th through 30th of 2022, and April 1st through 3rd of 2022.
Any comments from the commission? Wonderful. I'll entertain a motion if we have one.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for the approval of a temporary use for a craft and relic market ticketed curated shopping event for property located at 6,000 West Ryan Road, which is the Milwaukee County Sports Complex.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have 5 ayes and the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I look forward to attending. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All any opposed? Ayes have it. So we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Recording stopped.
We don't have